You ever really stop and think about how a medicine actually gets to the exact spot in your body where it's needed? I mean, it's one of the single biggest challenges in all of biotech. You could have the most powerful drug on the planet, but if it can't get to its target without causing a bunch of collateral damage along the way, well, it's not very useful, is it? So what if the solution wasn't some new synthetic marvel, but a delivery system that nature itself has been perfecting for millions of years? That's exactly what we're going to get into today.
All right, here's our roadmap. First, we'll dive into that central delivery dilemma facing modern medicine. Then, we're going to meet these tiny natural messengers that could be the key. After that, we'll look at the seriously smart strategy for actually manufacturing them, explore the diseases they're being aimed at, and finally, ask the big question, are we looking at a whole new era in treatment? So first things first, let's really get a handle on the problem. It all comes down to logistics, really. It's not just about what you're sending, but making absolutely sure that the package arrives at the right address, totally intact. So, what is the hardest part? A lot of people would probably guess it's discovering the drug itself. But more often than not, the real true hurdle is the delivery. How do you sneak a therapy past all the body's natural defenses to hit a tumor? Or how do you deliver a gene therapy directly into one specific type of cell? That's the billion-dollar question right there.
And this brings us to a potential solution from, well, one of the oldest forms of life on this planet. Let's talk about algae's microscopic messengers.
Okay, to understand this, we need to know about something called extracellular vesicles. You'll hear them called EVs. Basically, these are incredibly tiny packages that our own cells are producing all the time, naturally. They're constantly budding off, carrying bits of protein, RNA, and other molecules, and then traveling to other cells to drop off their cargo.
Honestly, the best way to picture this is like nature's very own microscopic postal service. Yeah, think of these EVs as millions of tiny envelopes constantly being sent between your cells, delivering messages and materials just to keep the whole system running like it should.
And that's where this whole story gets really specific. There's a company based in Paris called AGS Therapeutics, and they are pioneering the use of EVs from a super unique source, microalgae. They call them MEVs. So why algae? Well, for one, it's incredibly scalable, and it lets them completely sidestep the complexities and potential safety issues you'd get from using human or animal cells. The big idea here is to use these natural delivery trucks as a platform to carry pretty much anything, from cancer drugs to vaccines to gene therapies.
But look, a brilliant idea in a lab is one thing. It's totally useless if you can't actually produce it safely, consistently, and at a huge scale. And that brings us to the next really critical piece of this puzzle, the smart manufacturing strategy to get this technology out of the lab and into the clinic. Okay, so normally, a small biotech company would have to go hire a big contract manufacturer, what's called a CDMO, and then they'd have to transfer all of their secret sauce, all their processes, over to them. It's slow, it can be really risky, and you lose a lot of control. But AGS is taking a totally different route called the Shared Manufacturing Organization, or SMO model. They partner with a qualified facility, but they bring in their own equipment and use their own people. What does that mean? No risky tech transfer, and they keep total control over their process and their intellectual property. It's just a really clever way to move fast without, losing the reins.
And you don't have to take my word for it. As Marie-Elaine Leppold from AGS puts it, this model gives them the perfect balance of operational rigor, capital efficiency, and independence. Basically, they get all the benefits of a top-tier professional facility without the massive upfront cost or the headache of losing control.
So this is what that path actually looks like in practice. Step 1, they partner up with the facility. Step 2, they keep total control, running their own process right there inside it. And step 3, they use that professional environment to validate everything and train their own teams to the highest standard. That standard is called GMP, or Good Manufacturing Practice, and it's the super strict level of quality you absolutely have to meet to make medicines for humans. This whole setup is just a brilliant strategic stepping stone that gets them perfectly prepared to launch their own dedicated factory when the time is right. So okay, we've got the mind-blowing science, we've got the smart business strategy, but let's bring this back to the real world. Why does this actually matter? What kinds of diseases could this technology actually treat? Right out of the gate, AGS is focusing its own efforts on two major programs. One is for wet age-related macular degeneration, which is the leading cause of vision loss. The other is for inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD. Just seeing these two targets shows you how versatile this MEV platform could be, delivering treatments for two completely different kinds of conditions. And listen, This isn't some far-off science fiction happening decades from now. The timeline here is real and it's happening. The agreement with their manufacturing partner was signed earlier this year, and the company is aiming for the end of 2027 to have its first clinical-grade batches ready to go. And that's the super pure, highly regulated version of the product that you can actually start testing in people.
All right, let's zoom out now and put all these pieces together. Let's really consider what this could all mean as we look at what might just be a new era in drug delivery.
So the real kicker here is this combination, the synthesis of two powerful ideas. On the one hand, you have this elegant, beautiful solution straight from nature, using algae's own little delivery drones to carry medicine. And on the other hand, you have a really shrewd, flexible business plan that takes a lot of the risk out of the incredibly difficult process of manufacturing. It's the fusion of those two things that could make a whole new path for medicine possible.
Which really leaves us with one final, pretty fascinating question to think about. We spend so much time looking for answers in complex chemistry and advanced engineering. But could it be that one of our biggest tools in fighting disease in the future is actually these tiny, ancient vesicles that come from simple algae? I guess only time will tell.